Guys, what are you doing today? We're looking at strops and hones, and as you can see right now, I'm using some strops and hones. We're gonna do a video about this because I did a short the other day, and I thought it only makes sense to do this as an actual video so that there's no real questions about it, because you can't answer all those questions in a minute. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the logo, and then we're gonna get into strops and hones. Well, like I said in the intro, when you saw me actually doing a little bit of that, we are going to look at a quick sharpening tip. They are strops and hones. Now, strops come in a bunch of different variations. I have two of them here. I have other kinds. I have like razor strops that are hanging loose strops. I have some unloaded, but this is the one that I typically use for EDC knives. One side of it has got chromium oxide on it. One side of it's got diamond. This is loaded with gunny juice, I think 1 micron. I know that says half micron, 1 micron. But there's all kinds of different strops out there. You don't necessarily have to use a loaded one. I like loaded ones because they just get the job done quicker. But if you're working with soft steel, you don't have to have one. And the other thing we're going to look at is hones. And they typically come as a rod, but you can also get a really fine ultra fine ceramic plate as well that does the same thing. Nice thing about the rod is this works with all blade shapes. So with these two items out, we're going to take a quick look at how you use strops. Let me get this out of the way. I'm going to talk about strops to begin with, and then we'll talk about honing rods and what you shouldn't use. So let's get this all out of the way. So what is a strop? A strop is just a tool you use for bringing back up an edge. This is a very expensive leather and felt razor strop that I use, and it works really well. I also have a razor strop that's similar, that's attached to the workbench, and it is suede and finished leather, and you can use that. This is a block strop, and this is a paddle strop, but they all pretty much work the same. So what you've got is just a piece of leather of sorts. This one is attached to a wood block. This one is nice because it is rounded and you can get up into, say, a recurve knife. That's why I like this. This was made by one of my subscribers, Marla White. She sent this to me a while ago. I've been using it for years. And this block strop is pretty similar. The nice thing about strops, and the reason we're looking at strops first, is because a strop is the least abrasive way to go if you're trying to bring an edge back up. Now, this knife is not dull, but what happens with a knife is as you use a knife or a razor or any other cutting implement, that edge kind of gets knocked out of alignment. And what a strop does is it's just a gentle way to pull that edge back up into alignment and try and refine it back up. I do load most of my strops. There is that razor strop down here that hangs that I use for knives, that has got a suede side and a finished side. One side's loaded, one side's not. Depending on the steel, you can get away with not loading your strop. But basically all you're doing is there's a minor abrasive in this, and you're just putting this on. Now, you don't have to be real picky about your angle. You're just setting that up against, and the softness of this leather is going to kind of allow it to conform to the edge, and you're just going to bring it down. You don't want to go too high. You don't want to go too low. But what you're going to do is you're basically just kind of look, and you're going to see where you stop seeing a shadow under that. That's about where you need to be. A little bit of pressure, and then just follow the edge up. Do the same thing for the other side. And what you're doing is that abrasive is kind of just bringing that edge back up. And you can get this, you can take a knife that is coming up on the brink of being dull and bring it back depending on the steel and things like that. Some of your super steels do not respond as well to this, which is why we have hones. So this is a very, very non-intrusive way of touching back up a knife. Now, like I said, you can do it unloaded and you can do it on different materials. You can actually take a block of wood and put newspaper on it and get it nice and on there and use that as a strop. I've talked about that for certain steels. This balsa wood, kind of the same thing. This one's loaded. But even if you're using just leather, it still works really well because there's enough silicates in the leather from the tanning process that it has enough of an abrasive to just bring that up just naturally in the leather. By loading it and making sure you're replacing your strop compound regularly, what you do is you just give it a little bit more of an edge. or not so on an edge, but like a step up in the ability to touch that edge back up. Now, this knife was fairly sharp, but now after a little bit of stropping, it is very, very sharp. It does not take a lot of work on a strop to bring a knife that is, you've used it a little bit, it might not be exactly great, and bring it back up. The other thing you can do with a strop is, if you're sharpening, the last step is to give it a quick pass just to make sure that you've removed all of the burr. Typically, I don't really need to do that, but it's a step I take just to make sure that there's no little pieces of burr left on here that are going to like peel off and possibly leave you with an unsharp knife, and you can kind of look for things like that. Now you see I've nicked this a lot, but you can use a strop as a tool for the final steps of sharpening. So they are really convenient to have, and they definitely can extend the life of your edge. Now, you can overstrop a knife. I don't recommend like pulling this out of your pocket every time you use it and rubbing it on a strop, because you will eventually burnish the teeth off of that edge. We've talked about that in other sharpening videos, the little micro serrations that you get from the stones. You can actually overstrop a knife and cause it to dull by stropping it all the time. I will just typically feel an edge after I've used it a bunch, and I'm like, okay, that kind of needs a little bit of a touch. We're getting up on a point where it might start to get dull soon. You can bring it back pretty easily. And there are a lot of steels that are much easier to strop than others. So there you go, there's strops. There's our first one. We're gonna talk about the next one, which is hones. So the next one we're gonna talk about is hones. Now this is a ceramic honing rod. Don't get it mixed up. I am absolutely not talking about this piece of crap that's gonna come with every garbage knife set you ever buy. This is called a kitchen steel. Chefs love them, but these will definitely ruin the edge on your knife. This is a much better tool. So forget about these. These are what you want. This is a ceramic honing rod. Now it comes with a rubber foot, so you can set it down. I know it's kind of out of focus, but you can set it down and you can set your knife up and you can go down it. Now, depending on the angle your knife was sharpened at, you can kind of, I've heard Jared talk about it, you kind of use that as a guide. I feel that that's a little steep. Typically what I do is the same thing I do when I was using a strop, because this is another hone, but I have a strop on it. I set it down and I let it find its angle. I bring it up. Now, what you're doing is you're basically on this, I'm basically setting a little tiny micro bevel. I'm not putting any pressure really, and I'm just passing it down this, what it winds up being the equivalent to about a 3,000 grit stone. And what you're doing is you're just basically cleaning up all those little hiccups. You can see that little shiny line at the very apex of that, where I have brought that little bit of material off and cleaned it up on a true abrasive material. There are other ones you can get. Like I said, this is an ultra fine plate. This is very, very fine. It's as fine, if not finer than that ceramic rod. And you can do the same thing. Just a couple passes, bring your edge back up. Now this is basically like a sharpening stone, so you can get your angle the way you want. And then you can just feel and see if you've brought your edge back up where you want. Sometimes a hone still won't get it. If a hone won't get it and stropping won't get it, you are gonna have to go to a stone. But the nice thing about a honing rod is it will fit a lot of knives, like we said about that rounded paddle strop, that a typical flat one will not. So you can get up in on something like a recurve or a karambit. You can touch that edge back up if it happens to be dull. These are really nice because it's kind of an intermediate step between sharpening and dull. You can bring this up, like if a strop won't get it, you can try and use a honing rod. If a honing rod or a honing plate won't work, then you are gonna have to go back to sharpening. Now, I will tell you, this will form a little bit of a burr when you do this, which is why, if you look on this, I have loaded the leather sleeve for this. So what you can do is, right as soon as you come off of your honing rod, you go to your strop. I would use probably my paddle strop, and you just make sure that you hit that a couple times on it, and then just make sure that you've completely removed what little bit of burr it might have formed. You can use your paddle strop or whatever you might have, but that's gonna allow you to save that edge drastically. It's going to save you so much time in sharpening if you are just maintaining your knives with some of these extra little pieces of kit. These right here are great in the kitchen. I have this is our kitchen rod. I replaced ours with this a few years ago. the steel that we had before. This is what we use now. It stays out here, but it gets taken to the kitchen. It's got a hook so you can hang it up. If you're wanting to purchase one of these, Dollstrong has some really, really nice ones on their website, and I have an affiliate link down below. You can find them. They're like $48 with my discount. But having one of these or having one of these plates and a strop in your kit for sharpening will save you a lot of time, and it literally saves years off the life of the knife. If you're constantly just going from, oh, my knife feels a little bit dull, and going straight to sharpening stones, you are detracting from the life expectancy of that knife because you're removing more material than you actually need to. This rod right here, with a combination of this rod and some strops, can literally keep a knife from needing to be sharpened for months. I have kitchen knives that, using the same transition, I use a kitchen knife, I use it a lot, and you can see that it's starting to get dull because you're cutting through some stuff. You're cutting into the cutting board. I don't bother with the strop on a kitchen knife if I've been using it. I go straight to the rod and then hit the strop in between different items. So about the time you would wash your knife off, if we're talking about kitchen knives, about the time you would wash your knife off between different things you're cutting, like say you're cutting your proteins, your meat, your chicken, or anything, and then going to vegetables or vice versa, about the time you would wipe that knife off and clean it off, that's when I would hit it on the ceramic rod. And then when you're done with everything, hit it on a ceramic rod, touch it up on a strop, dry it off, and put it in the block. So these little things here can save you a lot of time, and it can definitely extend the life expectancy of knives that you have. So there you go, guys. That's all I've got. Let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. So there you go, guys. Strops and hones. It's something I haven't done in a while. Little sharpening tips, not a full tutorial, but it's something that can prevent you from having to just put your knives on a stone like immediately. When you do that, you're just wearing out your knife. You're going to burn through material that you don't need to, just for minor issues, when a lot of times you can bring a knife back from the brink with a strop or hone. The thing you can't do is you can't fix chips or nicks or things like that with a strop or a hone. So, and like I said, some steels are much more receptive to a strop than others. So just kind of feel it out and see. So that's it on this one, guys. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon though, make sure you've got it set for all, and make sure you've got notifications turned on your device. If you want to support the channel financially, like I like to say all the time, I am pretty much self-sponsored. I have a ton of affiliate links down below that don't cost you anything at checkout. Some of them will actually save you money. My Dollstrong Knives saves you 10% at checkout, my Dollstrong Knives affiliate link. And if you're looking for a good ceramic hone, they have one of the best ones. I think it's like $40 on our website right now, which is $20 off. So use my affiliate link. Coffee Brand Coffee, which is the coffee I drink here in the shop, 5% off. My VPN that I use, Atlas VPN, 80% off right now. I think it's $44 for a 2-year subscription. And Airfare Consolidator saves you 3% on your domestic airfare. But all of the affiliate links support the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything extra at checkout. Other ways you can support the channel: having membership that's tier-based. Everyone has access to my Gilded server. Every one of the premium and baseline guys automatically get entered to a giveaway that I do on the Gilded server. And the premium guys have access to a full sharpening tutorial series that is here on YouTube that they can access only if they're a premium tier member. And the final way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co, where you can pick up my merchandise or other creators' merchandise, some really cool designs there. And I can save you 10% there as well with my coupon code CrazySharp, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp. Saves you 10% at checkout. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video.